from overseas, people often refer to a cyclone in the Northern Hemisphere as a hurricane, and it's very similar to a hurricane, typically with very strong, dangerous winds. So the wind's so strong that we can't stand up in it. When the wind is 80 kilometres an hour to 100 kilometres an hour, it's very, very strong. And with a cyclone, there's usually a break in the weather partway through. That's often referred to as the eye of the cyclone, when we might think that it's gone, but it's just taking a break, and the system will come back shortly afterwards. So cyclones are classified in terms of their strength. A category 1 cyclone is quite weak. It's more like a severe storm, and a category 5 is really bad. So once we start getting a cyclone warning, we will ask people to be careful. We can also have a phenomenon here called storm surge, which comes with cyclones, usually around a category 3 cyclone. So this means that the sea level rises much further than it normally would, often with a high tide. And the sea can come a very long way inland, even to suburbs that are not near the ocean. So we'll show you in a minute how to find out whether you live in one of those areas. The effect of a storm surge is a bit like a tsunami, but it's not a tsunami, and it only comes with cyclones. And we will have warnings from the Bureau of Meteorology about that. So we will be able to tell you if we expect one of these systems to come. So it's not like something's going to happen and you won't know. And we've coloured and mapped all the areas in Cairns as to their height above sea level, or normal sea level. So we've got a red zone, which means that areas are very close to sea level. So even, as I said before, if you live in Menunda or Manoora or one of those areas close to town, you may still be in a red zone, even though you feel like you're a long way from the beach. The orange zones are a bit higher. They're 2 to 3 metres above normal high tide sea level. Yellow is higher still, up until about 4.5 metres above the normal high tide sea level. And if you're in a white zone, you're going to be safe in a storm surge or outside that storm surge area. So as I was mentioning before, you can look up these zones on the council website, and I've provided the link there, Danny, for people to be able to access that. And I'm showing you a picture on the right-hand side there of what that search looks like when you pop your address in there. So you can see in the example, we've looked up an address in Westcourt and Lyons Street. And on the right-hand side, yes, you can see my mouse there. The storm surge zone is coming up with a symbol and the colour red underneath it. That means you're in a red zone. You can also handily see some other information about the property here, when the rubbish goes out, what recycling bins you have and so on. But for the purposes of knowing what to do in a storm surge, this is what we want you to look at. So when we send messages about this, and I'll show you a bit later how that happens, if you're in a coloured area, whether that's red, orange or yellow, and we ask you to evacuate, we want you to find somewhere to stay in a white zone. So this is a good time to make some friends with other people, find out who is living in a white area, and make some arrangements to go there if you need to during one of these weather events. So it won't be for very long, might just be for a couple of days, but it will be somewhere safe to go in a storm surge event. So Danny, you'll be able to look up your address now. And,
yes,
yeah.
I need to check that.
You might have a few other people asking to check as well. But at least when you look this up, it's really obvious on the website what it is.